Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhairagale ni hao chunashumme washmale. Ohai gonzaimes, guten Morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifahal. Halishuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabi, abhalli kare aaya, hosh galdin. And I Osayo, and thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're certainly watching World this morning. Alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Ms. Haja Sati. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and it happens to be Friday over here in Islamabad. The temperatures have actually dropped to 20 degrees centigrade and everybody can feel the chill. But first things first, hello Haja, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for introducing me, Shahzad. So it's Juma Mubarak to you and everyone out there. So I really wanted to discuss some Islamic concept and how it dismantled the concept of racism, right?
Sure.
And how racism is a modern day evil that is still stalking the global society. So just imagine Hazrat Bilal Habsha, who happens to be from the modern day Ethiopia.
Yep.
He was a companion of Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also felt that his footsteps were way before him in the heaven, right?
True.
So imagine his status there, that the Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most beloved of the human being and was most cherished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he hears that his footsteps were preceded by Hazrat Bilal Habsha, right? So this is the status and this is the concept that Islam, of the racism which Islam dismantled, and Islam said that the only criteria of piety is the criteria which endears us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And then what we did was that the modern day enlightenment came on, and this colonization went on, and then the slavery went on, and the racism was very inherently attached to the modern societies, and it is still very prevalent there. And I really wanted to invoke once again the Islamic principles which very brilliantly dismantle this concept and maintain piety as the criteria, ultimately.
And obviously, what Quran actually tells us is that kisi Arabi ko ajmi par fazilat hasil nahi, and likewise as well. So ladies and gentlemen, why are we even talking about it? There's a reason. So imagine when we actually talk about the modern day Ethiopia, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that they have the fastest growing economy as of today. And it wasn't very long ago that they kind of started to contribute towards their economy, but they turned around the tables for themselves and for the people of Ethiopia or Africa for that matter. And that too in just last 1 year, so this is something which we really need to learn from. Not just that, if we talk about, for all of those, that global catastrophe, or the global communities which have been adding to the climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine that in the last 4 years, they've actually planted 24 billion seedlings, and that's quite a lot. We've spoken about the coffee already, that they are the best producers of the best coffee all over the world, and people are in love with it. And we're lucky enough that today we actually got ourselves the Ethiopian coffee. But not just that. I think when we talk about the human resource, when we talk about the natural resources, all we need to do is that bring in some policy intervention, and then things will work around. Now, for a country like Pakistan or a country like Ethiopia, where the Western media has always been projecting a negative image, I think that it's the best case scenario for the country of Pakistan or Ethiopia to kind of come together, join hands, and kind of do something about it. Alhamdulillah, we've been able to do that too, and Alhamdulillah, Ethiopia has been able to do that too. So the very first ambassador who came down to Pakistan as the ambassador of Ethiopia, ladies and gentlemen, was here as soon as he landed in Pakistan, and we are very glad and we are very grateful and we are honored that he kind of graced the occasion with his presence. But even today, ladies and gentlemen, to ask about whether how has been his journey so far, because it's been more than 1.5 months that he was here last time, and he was relatively very fresh in Pakistan. But now, ladies and gentlemen, there's quite a lot the Ethiopian embassy and the Ethiopian people have done for Pakistan, even when we talk about the flood relief activities. So before I say everything, I think it's about time that we introduce our honorable guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody whom we and the world actually refers to His Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, he happens to be the Ethiopian ambassador to Pakistan. He is Mr. Jamal Bakr Abdullah. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Juma Mubarak.
Juma Mubarak, Khair Mubarak. Your Excellency, thank you very much once again. And whenever you come onto our set, there's this rejuvenating energy which we feel. And thank you very much for gracing the occasion once again.
Look, gentlemen, this pleasure is mine. We are working together for collective interest of our national interest.
Alhamdulillah.
And so we need to project our forces, our powers in the globe. We are very ancient civilized countries.
True.
Where in these civilizations, Ethiopia's civilization goes beyond history. We have such a big, history. So we need to work together, come together, share our experience so that it can fill our gaps, help us to move forward to the high level.
Inshallah, and that's what we are aiming for. That's what the people of Ethiopia are aiming for, which is why we are here too as well. But sir, when the last time you were here, it was very recent that you've actually just landed in Pakistan. So first of all, I would certainly want to know which places have you been to. You've been to Karachi. I could see that you were meeting the chief minister and the governor. So how was it for you? How's been the last 30 or 40 days since the last time you were here on the program, Your Excellency?
Really, thank you very much. Remember one thing I said when I came to this place.
Sir.
I said Pakistanis are very heroic people.
Jazakallah.
Second, they are very hospitable people.
Jazakallah.
Warm welcoming. Wherever I go, they give me flower, they give me their heart, they give me everything they have.
True.
That is very exceptional. I have been in different parts of the globe, and this basically, I'm very impressed the nature, the values, the belief of this nation.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So I went down, actually, as you said, I came here, I meet with different officials,
Yep.
starting with, His Excellency the President,
President, yes.
the ministers, many ministers, then secretaries. I've seen the values truly through them, the true values of Pakistani. I'm very proud of them, and it is going to be a long journey we started together.
Inshallah, and that's what we look
Wonderful.
forward to. And in addition to that, obviously, at that time when you just landed in Pakistan, we have been going through a catastrophe, which obviously the international community is trying to address, and that too in terms of climate change. The people of Ethiopia and the government of Ethiopia has actually undertaken quite a lot of flood relief activities for the people of Pakistan. So would you want to shed some light on that as well? Because we do have pictures whether how the people and the government of Ethiopia has been working for the relief of the people who've been struck by such a natural calamity.
Thank you, brother. One thing I was very touched. Remember when I said two things happening in this country? Inflation, which is the economy, that we share with other countries. Second is the flood, which is exceptional to these nations.
True.
I was touched, and I have seen people are displaced, and with, the cause, they are minimal to the contributions.
True.
As, the Prime Minister said, below one. So this kind of contribution, they are suffering the cause, the international community part of it. And, we have seen all the houses have been destroyed. 1.7 million houses has been destroyed. More than 1,600 life has been lost.
True.
73,000 of women are giving birth in tents. Imagine how it is horrible.
True.
And the schools, health facilities, all have been destroyed. And this is big nations. Actually, the government is doing all it can, but
True.
the magnitude,
True.
the intensity of the calamity, it was beyond everyone's imaginations. When I was thinking, I tried to visualize what is going to happen to this nation. And I couldn't able to sit here, and I better said, Jamal, go to the field
True.
and see what is really on the ground.
Exactly.
And during that visit, one thing I have realized, that before I go, I have met on my way to His Excellency, the Chief Minister of Sindh, because Sindh, as you know, it is one of the highly affected by the flood.
True.
90% of the state has been inundated in water. So I met with him, and I've discussed, and I'm very grateful for his, energetic and the way he's handling the case, managing it, all those things I really appreciate. And he informed me a lot of things are happening, and the worst is coming unless we come together.
True.
So that thing, then from there I also met with the governor, who was the first, he met
After he
me.
took oath.
The first to
Yeah.
be hosted. I'm very lucky that I've been hosted by him. So we discussed a lot of issues on bilateral, regional, what we have to do as a nation to work together.
Right. Right. So, Mr. Ambassador, I really wanted to ask you something, especially when it comes to our cooperation on the spiritual level and on the cultural level. So, Pakistan and Ethiopia both are Muslim countries. Of course, Ethiopian is a multicultural society. They have other ethnicities too, right? But it is a cradle of the civilization, because last time you came here, we talked about the Lucy, which is the oldest preserved skeleton in the world,
Yeah.
and it reminds us of how we humans are all one big family,
True.
right? So I really wanted to ask you, so for example, there are a lot of comments coming on. So for example, European Union Chief Joseph Borrell said that the European Union is, the Europe is a garden and the rest of the world is a forest, right? And he has been under a lot of criticism.
True.
So we see this sort of mentality of white man burden and of the very Eurocentric version which is prevalent here. but we, Pakistan and Ethiopia, we're both Islamic sort of a country, and we have Islamic ideals. And how can we cooperate as Islamic country, as a voice of the third world, globalized country, or the vision when it comes to that, and counter these sort of narratives?
Look, thank you very much. This is a very serious case, by the way. Nowadays, countries like my country, which is multicultural, multi-religious, and people are living in harmony.
True.
Nobody in the earth, as you said, you raised it about Bilal al-Habashi,
Right.
who was, during ancient time, the racism that comes now, this is, xenophobia, Islamophobia, developing countries undermining, double standards, which is basically affecting the nation.
Exactly.
We as a universal human, nobody, white, black, racist among us, we are created from one, human.
True.
That is, Bilal,
Hazrat
Adam
Adam
alayhi. Yes,
Adam
we
alayhi.
are all from one descended. The color, all about geography. Where you are here, you are there, doesn't matter.
No.
What you carry in your heart, what matters a lot. The emotions, the beliefs, the feelings, we are very affected by, the recent saying of Boris about, their garden and the way the others are jungle. Imagine this was basically a hatred. It's, racist issues.
Right.
We need to counter this one. It has to be.
True.
Because there is no way that, as a civilized person, as a civilized nations, we especially believe in the equality of humanity.
True.
Universalism, impartialities, this kind of violation of the standard of international rules, that should be countered actually. We cannot tolerate this kind of issues.
Exactly.
Right.
And sir, in addition to that, obviously that was a very pertinent question by you, Haja, but how do you think that the rest of the community needs to come together to kind of make sure that, that we kind of counter such narratives? Because these narratives have been around, people of Pakistan and people of Ethiopia, wherever we go all over the world, wherever they are developing countries, we have seen such narratives amongst them and then against them as well. How do you think that, we people need to come together as societies and communities and raise our voices to curb this madness? It is a menace.
Truly, thank you very much for this one. One thing is very important. Our elites, our intellectuals need to wake up now. This is a time of transitions. We need to have our location in the globe as a civilized. We have got our own history of civilizations. So we believe in the equality of humanity. One thing, everything good for you. If you want good thing, do good to others.
True.
Never expect while you are disregarding people, you get a respect. That will never happen.
True.
So respect, what happened to my country, your country, we become a victim of war, hybrid wars. They are focusing, they portraying there, but they have, we need to come together and work. Look, recently what is happening in my country. The only government, legitimate government, it is the Ethiopian government that has monopoly of power, state authority to control means. But they try to encourage, the TPLF, trying to work them to create a kind of havoc which doesn't exist.
True.
But we need to come together. We have, as a nation, we have an interest. We have to work for the interest of our country. Look, Ethiopia is doing, number one, ensuring, we believe in the human rights.
True.
Here, everywhere, indivisible. This is human nature. So it has got its cultural context. True. You can't take, Pakistanis out of Islamic context.
Exactly.
You can't take out of the context of multicultural.
True.
The same in my country, different ethnic living. They live in, they throw political share, social share. If you want to be on top of others, there is no sustainable peace.
True.
We need to work so that what we, as a government we say, if you want a sustainable peace, Ethiopia is projecting, working to ensure the human rights. Number one, we are giving aids to, issue of aid in Ethiopia indiscriminately, given to everyone in need. And the government has to do that. It is a responsibility.
Wow.
And we cannot, again, let's say, we cannot differentiate between Tigray, Amara, Afar, Somali, all. We are one. And the government has a management, and it is also autonomy. And it's legitimate to do that human right. But in the sake of human rights, the Western countries, some countries, they try to pressurize us to, they take the politically motivated human right, quote unquote. This, we have seen what happened to the globe. In the sake of human rights, they have gone, they destroyed the nations.
True.
Look, imagine what happened. History tells
True.
what has happened. So we need to, understand the real intentions. We have to come together as a country, as Pakistan, Ethiopia, with a light mind like our country. There are people, there are states who believe in this principle. Let us equality prevail. There is no discrimination, impartiality of selecting one party to work with others.
And hence there's no human right violation as well, if that's what the government actually aims for. So, for all of those countries which do not want other countries to progress will always be hiding behind using all of these human right activism as well.
And we have seen that, Shehzad, you very rightly mentioned that how human rights has been used as a political tool, weaponized to intervene in a lot of different countries under a very different pretext, and we have seen that how things have rolled out there. So, sir, I really wanted to ask you that your Premier Abiy Ahmed, he has been a recipient, or rather not recipient, he is a Nobel Peace Prize winner, right? Because he finished the war inside your country. So, walk us through your journey of the economic reform and how Ethiopia is a power and a center of the power hub now it is.
Look, thank you very much for raising this basic issue. What is the major problem Ethiopia we have? Previously TPLF, the Tigray Liberation Front, which was, they are ruling Ethiopia close to 30 years. Through controlling the military, economic, cultural supremacy. Change comes in 1960, in 2060, where people, like intellectuals, come on guys, we are now in a civilized, we believe in equality, let us share equal power. That is where came the reformist, within our country comes. That reformist has ensured changes that is, driven within the party.
True.
Plus again owned by the people. That is where the marriage of convenience came. The people take, TPLF, enough is enough. Now let us live in peace.
True.
This is what we're promoting. But the TPLF, they resisted this. They wanted that supremacy. But Ethiopian people says, take your share. Let us share what we have. Manage your own affair in Tigray. And the central politics, let us share equally. They said, we can't, no. We will not. So our Prime Minister has led this change. He has did a fundamental changes addressed in Ethiopia, which was deep-rooted the political issues. Look, people like me previously were outside the political context. He brought us on front. And let's say we own Ethiopians, belongs to all Ethiopians, and let us work together for the prosperity, the unity of Ethiopia. That is where it is. The policy he designed, basically we have a clear vision where we are heading. We use something we learned from history, something that is around us. So we're connecting history with the future. Present, history, present, future. So this is his idea, what he brought us. So number one, he transformed the conflict that was deep-rooted between Ethiopia and Eritrea, and within Ethiopia too. So that has given him recognition as international levels. He was transforming the country. Look, one thing we did, in terms of political space, we create a democratic, Ethiopian-owned, homegrown, which is through his philosophy of Madamar, which is synergy. He brought this on every one of us. Let us come together. Let us build Ethiopia that we all look like, not a copy of others.
True.
All jackets cannot fit others. So that is where they resist. No, you can't do your own way. It is our way. There is a difference between us. Africans, we believe in Pan-Africanism. Africa is the destinations we all share behind our values. So if we come all together, like Ethiopia came together, Africa came together, Pakistan and Ethiopia come together, like mind come together, we change and build the world that we own. The second thing we have done in green economy, green legacy. Our Prime Minister was a champion of this. During he came wanting he focus on, he said, let us discover our environment, where we are. Let us look at what we have and then what we can do and create a beautiful nations that we all, he encouraged, he designed a green legacy project. In a day, all Ethiopians, we have, break the record, 380 million seedling in a day. That record belongs to us, thanks to our leadership, our Prime Minister. So we did, and within, as you mentioned at the beginning, in the 4 years, we have planted 24 billion of seedling. This is a good example of mitigating and adaptations. We are seedling, like a green for economy that we can use for industry,
True.
for creating now, like ecosystem which is very friendly. Ethiopia's landscape, believe me, Jamal, it was completely changed, evergreen. And we're looking forward this to be expanded. We are already expanding to our neighboring country, to the Africa, seedling fraternity of Africa, seedling fraternity of Pakistan-Ethiopia relations.
Exactly, and we
Wonderful.
certainly would want to do that too as well.
Right.
Because when we talk about climate change, I think it's the need of the hour too. But sir, very quickly, before we proceed any further with our conversation, the gifts the people who've been affected by the flood over in Pakistan have been receiving, from the government of Ethiopia and the people of Ethiopia. We would want to share those images, and you can let us know whether what happened and how did you decide and how did you plan and how many people have actually received all of those flood relief related materials, for the betterment of the people who have been affected. So please, can we have the pictures on the screens? Sir, please. Yeah, it's these are our pictures, but yes, we would want pictures. Yes, over here. So please, can you shed some light onto what was happening over here? Because, the proceeds for the flood relief activities were being taken to the people who've been struck by the flood.
Thank you. This is, brother, it is very heart-touching. I remember when I came here, I've said, walk by talk.
True.
It is a commitment that I had for humanity. Look, Pakistan has suffering, the cause it is not a part of it,
Exactly.
if not minimal. But as international community, as we are all responsible. I went down, I met with people. When I go there, I was visualizing all the way when I was driving. It is like 2.5 hour drive to where I visited. The country, you can see, all the roads has been destroyed.
True.
The infrastructure was destroyed. Imagine that was very close to the center.
Exactly.
That has been destroyed. When I reach, I was start thinking on my way, what kind of life these people going to live? When I reach there, I meet with elderly people, young, all they run to me. I hug them. I feel them that they are suffering the cause we causing selfish state.
True.
And who have been, paying that price. And they are outside, our children goes to school, but they are staying in the camp.
True.
This is where I feel and I share that true feeling of that. And I said to everyone, it is our responsibility to stand with. Our government believes in this value of universality. As a human, anywhere on the globe, we are connected. We are synergized in, his philosophy, or, our Prime Minister, Maddemer. So we are all in one. So we need to work. What happened today to Pakistan would happen to any one of us.
True.
Unless we collectively address this one and left it alone, this is history will judge us. And it's an issue of justice too.
Exactly. And
Okay,
Your
so
Excellency, in
talk-
addition to that, obviously, certainly, from the bottom of our hearts, on behalf of the Pakistani government and Pakistani people, we would love to thank you, the government of Ethiopia and the people of Ethiopia too, and for all of those countries who have actually contributed, who have made sure that they're going to make these changes, who are going to come forward in helping in these testing
Okay,
times
so-
for Pakistan. But very
Right.
quickly, Haja,
Right,
the only thing
because-
which I wanted to ask Your Excellency was that how do you think that the global community needs to come together to curb the menace of climate change? Because this is the need of the hour, and we really need to do something about it, because this is not about this year. It can happen to any other vulnerable country, and it can occur probably even twice a year or thrice a year, because about climate change, we're not very sure whether what's going to happen the next day.
And adding more to this conversation, sir, so we have seen that there is a loss and damage reparation mechanism in place, and a lot of people from the global south, they're advocating for that, and they are changing the semantics around this concept, because we should not be talking about the aid, we should be talking about the reparations, because this is the damage that has been done to us by the very industrialized and westernized world through their exploitation of the resources and huge drain on Earth's resources, and that is why we are seeing such kind of change. So COP27 is coming, and we've seen that the Pakistan is planning to take up the issue of the loss and damage. So what is the stance of your country in this regard?
Look, we, during our Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, he was addressing General Assembly of this year in September. He said, we need to call for transformations and availability of finance for climate resilience.
True.
This is one thing, the only way that justice will come. We are not requesting help us.
True.
This is the compensation, as you said. They have did, to advance their, national interest. They destroyed the planet all we share.
True.
We need to recover. This planet has to be restored. Resiliency should be there. We're requesting the finance that required to rebuild this country. Also help, others. Pakistan is a good example where it has suffered. It became a basketball for climate, fiasco. So we have seen this one, and we believe establishment of global fund that creates resiliency for developing countries, where developed countries contribute finance and create resources that will enable also technology transfer that will help to resilient, create economy, mitigation, adaptation. So we believe in that values. We support. Last time when we met with Speaker of National Assembly, Rajab Pervez, he raised these issues at the Interparliamentary Union, which was held in Africa. This issue has been raised, and we are vote for it. We support, because justice has to be ensured. From the very beginning, my country, from its establishment of values, one of that, we believe in justice. Justice delayed is justice ignored. Now, everyone has to put in, help this nation to rebuild, so that we have a hope the world will exist.
Exactly, and thank you very much for saying that too as well. But very quickly, sir, towards the end, Your Excellency, in the past 2 or 3 years, we have seen that, Ethiopia has turned the table around and it has been the fastest growing economy of the world. What were those untapped areas which were being tapped by your leadership now that, alhamdulillah, we see Ethiopia as one of the fastest growing economies?
Look, that's a very good question. Exactly. It is a good lesson to be learned, very good. What we did when the change government comes, led by His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister, he sit down and identified what is our competitive advantage as a nation. So what do we have? First, where we want to go, what we have, what we need to make this thing out of it, and what technologies input we need from other countries. We identified, we developed a homegrown economic policy. That homegrown economy identified the major, investment, trade, tourism, all. So number one is agriculture. Look, your economy, I know this country is also an agricultural economy, one of those. So we identified, agricultural. So what is challenge to this agriculture? Technology, human, all those things. Wave off even duty tax free. Close to 500 items are allowed tax free into our country to advance our agricultural output. Know that Ethiopia is exporting next year wheat to Kenya. We already signed last time when His Excellency William Ruto was there in Ethiopia. Our Prime Minister has signed this one. This is one thing.
Yep.
Second, we have done is agro-processing, which is manufacturing. Ethiopia has got a cheap energy, 0.04, I can say you. It is also clean. 96.4 is from clean energy. It was very, so that we are already exporting energy to Kenya, Djibouti, Sudan. Many others have already requested. It is in the pipeline. This is where we believe that integration through energy. That is why we are generating one of the biggest, energy generating dam, which is Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, generated on the Nile River, which doesn't have any impact on down riparian country with our brothers, other brothers. We share. We are a community of interest in that alone. So we are working on this. The third point we're working is, mining. Your country has a huge mining deposit, I have noticed. So we have identified, we will create a kind of incentive package for, all the companies who want to come in. And they try to get licenses in a short period.
True.
The fourth one is, tourism. As you said, my sister said, Ethiopia is a land of origin.
Yes.
It is a land of Lucy, a land of, Nile. It is a land of Bilal Bashir.
And we hope that one day Lucy will come to our country too, and that will remind us again that Lucy is the oldest preserved skeleton there, and it is one of the reminder that the global family is a one old family, big family, and we have only this earth to inhabit, right, Shehzad?
Exactly.
So with that, we will take a short break, and we will also say thank you to Ambassador Saab. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you so much once again.
And gracing us this show by your presence.
And sharing your wisdom.
And sharing your wisdom and your insightful takes on the lots of issues. And after we come back, we have a very interesting topic to say, so don't go anywhere.
Good morning.
Welcome back, and we are going to talk more about the robotics, about the technology, about the coding, and how it is creating a lot of job opportunities for the kids. Shahzad, right?
Exactly.
And Shahzad has been maintaining this position for quite some time, that now Google and all these international companies, they do not require your degrees, right?
True.
They just see your talent on the social media, through your smartphones, onto your smart technology, and then they hire you for that matter.
Exactly. And in addition to that, Haja, I think that the most important aspect over here is that, I keep on asking my 9-year-old daughter, alhamdulillah, that, okay, bete, what have you been doing on your laptop? So most of the time, either if she's watching videos on YouTube, or either she's watching YouTube, in which there are YouTubers playing some other video games. And I was like, there's so much to explore in these days. If you're going to just stick with YouTube, I don't think better that you will be able to learn. So imagine, here comes this amazing gentleman who's making sure that he's going to teach coding to kids as young as 7 till 17. True. Not just that, in addition to that, he was making sure that, that they get that skill set, which is important to intervene within this very own sphere of technology. How is he doing that? And, what will be the outcome? These soft skills which they will adopt, whether will they be useful for them in the near future, or will they still be going through that degree system as well?
Exactly, and Shahzad, Pakistan is no doubt a hub of a lot of talent here. We have Alpha Kareem here, who was the youngest Microsoft, the software developer. Yes, and certainly, so there are a lot of other people who, with the polishing their skills, their talents, can make up to that level. And of course, Pakistan can also create their name in the fraternity of the artificial intelligence, and into the field of the electronics and whatnot.
So let me ask you a question. So can you actually remember any of those softwares which we used to do coding in, in the previous days? Can you name one?
Okay, so I do remember that there was this Java and C++ software that we used to learn in our second year in the computers and whatnot, but I never, got the wind of that because I couldn't understand that.
And the only reason why I asked you this question was that imagine that, our knowledge has not progressed beyond Java and C++. So today is the day, ladies and gentlemen. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined with somebody who happens to be the founder and chief executive officer of Chipkoojunior. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mr. Rehan Haq. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. You've been working in the UK. You've been working with the European Union. Indeed, you've done so much in your life, alhamdulillah. And now you're down to teaching coding, artificial intelligence, and all such sort to kids as old as 7 till 17. What is Chipkoojunior? Please let us know.
Perfect. So Chipkoojunior is basically online learning and knowledge platform. What we do basically, we offer a variety of coding programs, training programs where we teach 7 to 17. There's a specific reason to choosing 7 to 17 because they are the workforce of future. I'll come on them, but beforehand, I'd like to talk about we talk about cybersecurity, how it works basically, how it will be evolving in future. We talk about drone programming, animation, graphics, arts basically, and making sure kids are learning apps designing because that's the future. Back in days, I was in Tallinn earlier this year, in Tallinn, Estonia.
Okay.
In 1990, I think they left USSR, but now every child, after 3 years, they have to mandatory for them to learn coding.
Okay.
And this year they have a plan. There's a minister who's making sure there are more than 25 unicorns starters because the value must be $1 billion.
True.
And that's the way they are increasing the value of their kids basically.
Right.
Philippines is making mandatory their K-12 education must be learning coding. So that's one of the reasons to bring in Pakistan because we have seen a lot of brain drain, right?
True.
So now there's a huge gap what we have gone through back in days, 90s, 2000. Now, when we talk about the workforce of future, in few years' time, they will be running the show. True. That's one of the reasons to bring in Pakistan as overseas Pakistani.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we have seen that, Shahzad, your digital footprint is your new CV, right? Nowadays, especially. And you should be very careful about how you interact with your social media because it can affect your employability and your...
Everybody's looking at it. Even if you give your visa application to any other country, the first thing they're going to look into is your social media and the kind of person you are.
Absolutely.
That's
spot on.
So how much it is important, number one, that the kids interact with the kids or that matter, anyone interact with the social media irresponsibly. Second, that can open the gateway for the employment skill.
Absolutely. We need to understand what are the employability skills looks like first.
Right.
Because if I magnify 3 years, 20, 25, 36 months, 50% of employees, current employees, has to reskill or upskill. If I talk about myself or the young generation. 2030, 80%, 80 or 85% just we don't know yet. We don't know yet what they looks like. Let me give you a few names. What the jobs looks like. AI assisted medical technicians, cyber calamity forecaster. We haven't heard these things.
True.
Drone engineer, metaverse, the digital world, game designers. These would be and data detectives.
True.
We haven't, and that's the future. And for these, the basic skill we need to have a thought process.
True.
That's we need to have you have to have enough energy to make a decision. As if primarily if I focus Pakistan is concerned, the most important skill we lack is decision making. We think spend our blood.
And that too on time.
Absolutely. So they take a lot of time in decision making. That affects the gist of the process. That's why.
Exactly. And I would like to add over here, I think that the conversation is going to get more interesting, and it's because, I've always emphasized on decision making and on the right time, and people really need to do that. But over here, I think that the way we grow, people are very scared of taking responsibilities. The first thing is to take responsibility. But now, Rehan bhai, I'm sorry that I'm going to put you under some hard light. The question is, now when we talk about coding and when we talk about a lot of research getting into it, there was a time when we were growing up, people used to say that the IT industry is going to go up these many $1 billion and, will have anything to offer, and at least somebody will get something. Now the question is that for somebody who happens to be a founder of Chipkoojunior, knows coding, teaching coding to a lot of different students, understands that this is the area where we will need people in the future. Imagine now what happens is that people in the first place want motivational speakers themselves to be as successful as their words are or as their words sound. So, for you to be that mentor, do you think that you fill in that place of being that company which has been a part of the top 500 fortune and then coming down to making sure, hey, you know what, we've got you, come on, let's hop onto the bus?
More than happy. I really like your question, by the way.
Jazakallah.
So, as far as myself is concerned, I am a mentor of more than 250 mentees across the globe. I used to work with European Union, one of the strategical, basically advisory group member. I used to be a basically external industry panel member of a university, couple of universities. I used to, back in 2014, I was used to work with UK government in implementing cybersecurity strategy and making sure the kids back in 2014, kids are learning these coding programs. And as a professionally, UK, US, I used to work in Switzerland, Germany, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. So I have
all the rich countries.
Absolutely, I've seen the whole world, and primarily my background is in cyber and transformation. And the transformation word is just like a sustainable. How to minimize the interfaces. That's the thought process, that the corporate thought process we are trying to indulge within kids' life to evolve. Basically, the world is one of the key skills we have to learn, especially the young generation, how to evolve. Truly, 3 years, robots will be here. Kids has to talk to robots. How it's possible until you don't give them those skills to talk, think. Situation is because they will be creating a brain of a computer.
I think that the only thing our people over in Pakistan would be doing is fixing their actions so that the robot can actually understand. I think we face so many of difficulties while even speaking to Siri. Imagine, Siri, can you please dial my chachu's number? Siri, I cannot understand, please come again. Siri, please call my chachu number. So I think that's the lighter bit of it, but you're very right. 30% of the jobs will be taken up by the robots, and this is something which will be the need of the hour. But how do you think that, we continue to evolve? And how do you think that the parents of today, just like me, we really need to think about, for example, I mentioned about my daughter who's just 9 years old, but the only thing she's doing on her laptop is YouTube. While when we actually used to have computers, we used to kind of go a lot around on to the internet because we didn't have Facebook and all of these things. So, we would actually explore. So how do you think that we can instill this habit into our children?
Absolutely. Couple of points. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook founder, right? He's making sure his two daughters are learning coding from age 3.
Yeah.
Age 3. And what we are doing, apologies in Pakistan. No comments, right?
True.
Second, I was in a private dinner with Virgin Galactic, right? They are taking to space. The chairman was Dr. Will. He's the chancellor of Napier University in Scotland.
Yeah.
I was asking, do you mind if you give some thoughts or some guidance to the young generation? He said, Rehan, in my university, 40 to 50% of all programmers, I hire them directly because they're the programmers. That's the need as far as the space is concerned.
True.
So that's the thought process we have to indulge right now, so we would be able to be part of the global stream.
Exactly, and when people will start to do that, obviously that's the point where we said that, you know, that now you do not need a degree. All you need is a soft skill, such as, and the reason why I'm calling it a soft skill is because you have to use the software, you know, anyways. It's not a hard-on, hands-on skill.
Right.
So apologies, but again, the only my concern, Pakistan 80% or so, more than 60% youth, right? As far as the skills, if we talk about, according to Ernst & Young, one of the professional services, 150 million workforce would be part of the workforce in 2030 from South Asia, India and Pakistan, with poor skills because they don't have the skills. When we shed light on what the skills looks like, it's basically decision making, communication skills, and all these bits and pieces basically.
Wow, that's wonderful. And you know, so for people who are actually out there and they want to enroll their kids to Chipkoojunior, what are they supposed to do?
Yes, how did you like the name basically?
I think it's good because juniors are always Chipkoos, right?
On top of that, well,
we love them.
The reason to have this Chipko name is to mentoring. Mentoring is basically, we have indulged the mentoring word basically with the help of the Chipko. So if someone would like to start learning, we create a relaxed environment where they can learn through playing, and just we offer free of sessions, especially we understand the Pakistani market is really at this point of time is going 25-30%. Quality of life has been gone up due to the expensive ways of living.
Right.
So it's really cost effective. We also offer free of cost, complimentary for underprivileged kids. For example, the few kids that used to learn from us, their father, their parents are basically underprivileged, and we give them free. They're making really good, basically salaries on a monthly basis.
Wonderful.
And we also started girls empowerment. We will be starting for transgenders to make sure they have respectable ways of living, right?
And
this is
that
the thing by staying at home.
Yeah, and that everybody gets equal opportunity. I mean, it's coding. Coding is not going to see whether it's a boy or a girl or a transgender, you know, so everybody should do it. But thank you very much, Rehan bhai.
Thanks, Sandeep,
for
for having
introducing
me.
that concept. It was the need of the hour. We've been talking about it for the last 9 years over here on this platform, that this is the way forward. And we kind of really need to put our focus onto that. So thank you very much
Thanks,
for
Sandeep,
Chipkoojunior.
for having me.
And
Really
for everybody who's out there now, it's on to you to spread the words. Please make sure that you know you take advantage of all of this information we've been sharing with you. But now I think I have another important announcement that from tomorrow onwards, inshallah, I'll be live on PTV Sports for the World Cup transmission. We will be joined by Mr. Lance Klusener all the way from South Africa, Mr. Azhar Mahmood, Mr. Rashid Latif, Mr. Muhammad Hafiz, and Cass Nadu from South Africa as well. So please make sure to tune in. And inshallah, I will resume my responsibilities on the morning show from the 14th of November as soon as the World Cup ends. So I need a lot of praise because this is going to be the first ever World Cup which I will be covering, inshallah.
Wonderful.
Thank you to Allah Almighty.
Wonderful. And Shahzad, we are wishing you best of luck for your transmissions, and we also wish best of luck to our cricket team. Of course, no pressure at all because it's a sport, right? It is designed in a one way that one team will win and another will lose when it comes to that. So with that, we will say a goodbye. And until next time, good morning.
Good morning, Jummah Mubarak.